Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am super stoked on a Friday to be here with Jennifer Zeile from Stewart Moving Storage. Jennifer, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's Friday. I got some coffee in one cup. I might have a little bit of scotch in another. I don't even know. I'm
You've got
chilling.
scotch in both. I know it.
There you go. So this is actually a person I've met in real life, and so she knows exactly how I roll. Two fisting. No, but normally we would have seen each other at least once or twice, probably at like AMSA or IAM or some of
Yeah,
the dispatchers or something like that.
all of the
Um,
above.
yeah. Do you miss being out in the circuit?
Well, I do. I do. It feels like this year's been like a vortex, and we're just all just into our
Yeah.
homes, and it is what it is. But yeah, we'll get back out to play soon.
Oh my gosh. When do you think the next time that you're going to travel for? Are you traveling for work at all in any capacity right now?
January, we have our executive vision trip. There's just a few of us. We all pretty much stay home and all that. So we are having that in January, but it's just a few of us.
Nice. Nice. I haven't seen Wes in a while, by the way.
I
I'm
saw him this morning.
You saw him this morning? Same, still big, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. Hey, if you're watching this right now and you just kind of interrupting Jen and I, just kind of chopping it up over here, give yourself a shout out in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are, what you're doing. If you're having a little something to sip on this Friday afternoon, let me know that too. Also, any questions you have for Jen about sales, about marketing, about non-traditional career paths. We're going to talk a little bit about that, which is one of the recurring themes when I talk to global mobility and relocation people all the time, is how, they didn't really, plan to end up here. They just kind of fell into it. So it's kind of a recurring theme, but I want to hear your story because I think it's particularly
Yeah.
interesting. And just whatever else anybody wants to talk about. So feel free to get live in the comments here. We got Jamie Massler checking in from sunny and warm Mississippi. What's up, Jamie? You
Hey.
still cutting the grass down there in Mississippi? I bet you are. Let me know. Stephen Meyer, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Shout out to the drivers out there for sure. What's up, Stephen? Let's see. Mark Gray, happy Friday from Atlanta. What's up, Mark? Good to see you, the moving recruiter in the house. So Jen, I just want to kind of hop into it, and understand a little bit about. I want to understand a little bit about your story and how you got here, because you have such a fascinating story.
Yeah, well, I tried to give you a synopsis before this, but it is a little interesting. I was on my own at 15 and decided that college wasn't for me. I had bills to pay, I needed to make money, but I wanted to learn. So along the way,
Okay, I'm sorry, and I'm gonna get personal, and you can tell me, Ben, I don't want to talk.
Yes.
But why were you on your own at 15?
It was what needed to be done.
Yeah.
Home wasn't a good place for me mentally, and I think sometimes we have to get gritty and handle our business. And if I was gonna get done what needed to get done, it was on me. So
wow, that must have taken tremendous determination and
or
resources.
stupidity and naivety, one of the two. Yeah.
Well, a lot of great things are born out of stupidity and naivete, right? I mean,
Right.
I joke all the time with people in my own office. It's amazing what you can get done when you don't care how you look when you're doing it, right?
Or when you don't realize you're not supposed to be able to.
There you go. All right, so keep it going. Sorry, get you off track.
Yeah, no, you're good. So I quickly realized when I was on my own that I didn't know how to cook, couldn't even boil water. So I was waiting tables at the time and decided that I was gonna tell these folks to make me a cook or I would quit. And they believed me.
What, were you so fed up waiting tables that you're like, oh, cooking sounds so much better than this?
Well, it was a little more steady of a paycheck. It was not depending on tips. It wasn't cash. It was a paycheck, and it was learning a skill that I didn't have and getting paid to do it instead of the other way around. Most of the time, you're taught that you have to pay to learn a skill, pay for training, pay to get to where you want to go. And I decided that I was going to flip that on its head, and I was going to get a paycheck while I learned.
Wow. And has that been like a recurring theme? Because you're right. Now
Mhm.
that I hadn't thought of it before, but you're right. I mean, we pay for skills, we pay for training, we pay
Yeah.
for learning, and yet we're surrounded by so many learning opportunities
Mhm.
now more than ever. I mean, frankly, with YouTube out there, like,
Online, everything, yeah.
yeah. So what was that like aha moment for you there? And how have you has that been like a thing that you've done? Like a
It
lot?
has. It's almost been a challenge for me. Is I've watched my sister go through school. She's got a master's. She's brilliant. Um, but she was a teacher and she was making a third of what I was making, and
Mm-hmm.
I had zero debt and she was up to her eyeballs. So at a certain point it became almost a challenge. It's okay, how far can I go with this? How much can I actually learn without acquiring student debt?
So
And then over
you haven't paid for, like, you didn't go to college then, I'm guessing? Sounds like.
nope.
No. And so you skipped like all that 20, 30, 40, 50,
Yeah,
$100,000
yeah.
of student loan debt that a lot of people that are watching this probably incurred at one point. You know, it's crazy. I'll just share my father-in-law, he put four girls through private school, K through
Wow.
12 in New York. And we did the math one time over a whiskey, and it was like $500,000 in
Ouch.
tuition. Yeah, I know. And they're two teachers, a nanny, and my wife who stays at home with the kids. And I'm just like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know about that, Steve. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I don't know about that. Like,
Is that a worthwhile investment?
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
do we really have to pay to learn?
We could have got here without that, I think is kind of where I
Yeah.
landed. But anyway, but he felt good about the investment. But
Yeah.
you shortcutted that and you flipped that. And so tell me about that experience of picking up knowledge, not paying for it. How did you amass like the skills that you needed to have a successful career?
Oh man, amazing mentors first and foremost. People that believed in me probably before I believed in myself, and being really, really resourceful.
Give me some examples of those mentor relationships, though, like specifics, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah,
Shout some people out too. Why don't you share?
yeah. So my ex mother-in-law, that's a fun one. Um,
Okay, yes, it is your ex mother-in-law.
she actually helped me get into one of my first careers in advertising. She thought I had a knack for it. I'd been in investment banking after I got out of cooking. Decided cooking wasn't my gig. Um,
Yeah, you're throwing a lot of things at me right now. So you left cooking and got
yeah,
into investment banking. That is a
yeah.
logical progression. How
Well,
did you?
so I knew nothing about money. I decided I wanted to work in an office and dress up for a living. Wanted air conditioning, some of the
Same,
luxuries of life, right?
same. So we both end up in the moving industry, ironically. But okay, yes.
But yeah, so I realized that I knew nothing about money, and that was important to me. I'd seen my family, my parents struggle. The financial literacy wasn't huge in my family. They got by, but I wanted better than getting by.
Hmm.
So I studied for about 2.5 weeks and got my Series 3 federal license, passed on my first try within 86, and started trading commodities and currencies.
And
And decided that wasn't for me either. It was the market tanked, lost a lot of money. It was almost $4 million in client money in about 15 minutes, and decided I need something more tangible. But I liked the idea of putting money into an idea and getting more out of it than you put in, which actually is what led me to advertising.
okay, we're gonna go into all this. Pick up where you left off, but we got some comments coming in that are really, really interesting, such as your boss just hopped in here. Wes, hi, Jen, didn't know you're doing bench show. This should be good.
Hi, Wes.
Hey, if we run out of stuff to talk about, we'll just start telling Wes Stewart stories, all right?
That would be fun.
Yeah. Wes, you can Venmo me not to do that. Valerie McKenzie, happy Friday from Deluxe Suites. What up, Val? Got my Deluxe Suites glass over here. I don't know if you can tell, but it says Deluxe Suites. What's up, Val? We got Eric Scorzelli. Eric Scorzelli, the box king of New York. Hello, all. What's up, Eric? How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you. Jack Jampel. Hi, Ben and Jennifer. What's up, Jack? Good to see you, buddy. Look at Wes saying hi. Hi is code for don't do it, Ben. Jamie Massler, still cutting the grass, just putting the winterizer down. Let's see. We got a quick little. Oh, look at this. Robin Vogel's greetings from Australia. What up, Robbo? Stacy, interesting story. Yeah, I think it's just about to get good too, Stacy. So let's stay tuned here. Janet's got a real quick question before we hop into
Yeah.
where's the
Kissimmee,
vision
Florida.
trip? And you got
Kissimmee,
like space
Florida.
Kissimmee, huh?
Yeah.
You got like a spot for like a keynote or something?
Oh, we're just digging into plans and
Straight planning.
yeah, it's a little nitty gritty, but it's good stuff.
You don't want me to come down there and like run a ropes course or something like that, like a team?
I have no problem with it.
We could do trust falls with Wes.
I know he can catch me. I can't catch him.
Can you imagine? Just get back there. I mean,
The
Wes
whole
is a big
team.
man.
We'll all get it. It's
He's
fine.
a big man. Let's see. Jennifer Rodriguez. Hello from the COVID city of Chicago. Jennifer, Chicago was the last. Jennifer Rodriguez. J-Ro. Chicago was the last city that I traveled to for work. Yeah, and that was in March, mid-March. Vinny Valverde, cheers from Portland. Vinny is in the house. What up, Vinny? That's awesome. And then Janet's actually going to crash your planning meeting. She says it's right near her in Sorrento.
I'll text you the address.
There you go. All right. So where were we? What were we talking about as far as your story there?
Just a bit of the crazy career path on good examples of things I decided I wanted to learn.
I want to talk about mentorship real quick. Yeah, I want to talk about mentorship. So who were some of the mentors? So you had your mother-in-law that got you into
advertising. Yep.
Who were some of the other mentors you've had in your career?
One of the owners of the brokerage firm when I was in finance, I still hear his voice today when I'm working on something and can't get past it. And he believed in my potential so much. And I was barely 19 years old at the time. So it was pretty cool to have someone that was so accomplished see potential.
What was some of that advice that you were given at that age? 19 years old. I mean, let's face it, at 19, I mean, you probably knew more than most 19-year-olds because of your life experiences. But at 19 years old, I mean, we think we know everything. We really know nothing.
Yeah.
What kind of advice were you getting back then that was really influential?
I just really fake it till you make it is what I heard a lot of. It was you show up, you try hard. Wes even still says that one. If you show up and you try hard, it's bound to work out. And not taking myself too seriously. I think when you do start seeing success really, really young, you take yourself too seriously. And of course I did and didn't mean to at the time, but some of my mentors' best work was bringing me off my little pedestal.
Why do you think that we do that? Because I suffered from that as well.
Because we know how hard we worked. We want. It's just human nature to brag on ourselves, I think, to a certain extent. And I don't see it as a bad thing. You just got to keep it in context and in check.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's like, though, to like compensate for the insecurity that maybe we don't deserve to have what we have, or
almost a symptom of the imposter syndrome is do I really deserve this? Do I have to fluff my feathers and be the peacock because I need to be able to show up?
Yeah. I heard a guy say on a symposium the other day, is like, not to pump my own tires. Okay, pump your own tires.
He did, didn't he? Though he pumped his own tires.
He was pumping them. No, but along those lines of imposter syndrome, talk about that for a moment, because that's something that, I mean, I struggle with. I know people struggle with all the time. What is that, if people haven't heard that term?
It's when you almost don't feel you deserve what you've accomplished, as though you don't belong where you've gotten yourself to. And I mean, it's really, really common, but I think that, like you said, the over bragging, the putting ourselves on a pedestal and thinking we've got it all figured out is a symptom of that.
How do we combat imposter syndrome? I mean,
authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, is there more to it? I mean, we have a long show, right? Like, is there more to it than like one word, like authenticity? Like, can you expound on that for me?
I mean, I regularly take a step back and look at myself. Am I taking myself too seriously? It's one thing to take your work seriously and take your job seriously, take your responsibilities seriously, but it's something else to take yourself seriously. And I've learned to be the first one to laugh at myself, to point out my faults, to fess up when I don't know what I'm doing, because like that really helps with my team. If they know I'm learning right along with them, then we're in this together and we're elbow to elbow.
All right, so let's get back to your career journey here, because this is interesting. So you decide, and I really like this idea, right? So you go from being a cook to being to trading. Was it what were you trading? Was it securities or what was it?
Commodities and currencies. I had a Series 3.
Commodities and currencies.
Oil, gas, gold, oranges.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Pork bellies.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I watch Trading Places. No. So you decide you want to be a finance person, which I really like the idea of. You decide I want to be this person. I want to wear nice clothes and work in air conditioning and be somebody important. Okay. And then you're like, oh, yeah. So like you start with the picture on the box, right?
Yeah.
And then you like get there. And then when you get there, you realize this isn't what I want to do. How, like you worked all that way to get there. Why did you decide that it wasn't what you want to do?
It didn't feel right. And I've got to be passionate about what I'm doing. I have to believe in it. It has to be fulfilling for me. And the moment it's not, I'm out. Maybe not the moment. Take that the wrong way. But
I was gonna say, because how long you been at Stewart?
5 years.
Okay. Just kidding. I'm just messing with Wes. I hope you still watch it. No, but okay. So you decide you're out. Did something happen to precipitate that, or what?
Well, with finance, it was the market crashing. It was when my clients lost all that money, and I had to spend the next 3 weeks making phone calls telling them they lost all this money. It killed my passion for it. It took the fun out of it for me, because that's
what was that like what was that like, those phone calls?
It sucked. I cried. Yeah. I was a kid. I was 20 at the time, maybe 21, but yeah, I was.
Were these like your clients that you had sold, or were these just the clients you were managing?
No, they were mine.
So like these were people that you convinced to give you to
wire me money and give me power of attorney. Yeah.
And you invested it into I'm just getting a text from Jack. You invested it into all these pork bellies, let's pretend. Sure. And then the pork belly market fell apart and they lost everything. And then you had to be like, hey, that money you sent me? I don't know if you heard about this recession thing, but.
Oh, but it was worse, because then, the market always comes back, especially after something like that. So it was, hey, we lost your 50 grand, sell some stock, send me another 10. I think I can make it back.
and what did they say?
Well, then the wife calls me, because it turns out they didn't have that money really. They had it, but they didn't have it. Now the truck's getting repoed, and Jen goes home crying.
What was it like? They took it like on a credit card, or like a home equity line of credit or something?
Or money that wasn't really risk capital. It was their nest egg. It was, it wasn't money they should have been sending for this kind of investment. This is risky stuff. This is, options trading.
Wow. So my father, no, so many directions right now. My father-in-law, he does, he's an expert witness in lawsuits, largely around suitability of investments, right?
Yep.
Did you ever have to deal with any of that around some of these investments or anything? Did anybody come back and want to like sue you or something like that?
Yeah, a couple of them did. And it basically, they signed off that this was risk capital, that this was not, budget money.
I understand the risks.
Yeah. Yep. And the lawyer got us out of it because they had signed the paperwork. My paperwork was always spot on.
Oh my gosh. So you decide, okay, hey, you know what? Pork bellies ain't for me. So then what happened?
Well, I loved the idea of investing, but it needed to be more tangible for me. And my mother-in-law at the time worked for a publishing company in the advertising division, and there was an entry-level opening, and she recommended me for it.
And then what'd you do there?
So I started in out-of-market sales. It was mostly newspaper at the time, but then this was 2005. So this is when digital advertising was starting to really get advanced and technical, and so we got into that a lot: website development, search engine marketing, behavioral targeting with display ads, that sort of stuff. So over the course of, I was in advertising for almost 12 years. I had done TV commercials at one point, magazines, direct mail, pretty much everything.
Okay. So first of all, if you're watching right now, thank you so much. Hit that like button, throw a little heart out there to Jen out in, are you in Richmond area, Virginia?
Yep.
Throw a little heart out there to Jen. Virginia's for lovers. Throw a little heart out there. Also, please do me a favor, put a question here. I want to hear your questions, Wes. If you're still watching, Robbo, Stacy, Jennifer, Vinny, Janet, Victoria, throw a question there. I want to answer your questions. It's always more fun when I know what you're thinking. I want to answer your questions. We've got a couple comments coming in real quick here. Super on topic stuff right here. Janet says, what would Jen serve with crab cakes?
Oh, gosh. Rice, pilaf, or a salad of some sort? I'm not a huge seafood person, so.
So she'd serve it in a garbage can. So, nice.
Put it on a sandwich, darn it. Just crab cake sandwich.
All right. Put it in the comments. Janet's got big decisions coming up tomorrow. She's trying to figure out what she needs to serve with this. I think she's thinking in terms of a veg. So if we could keep this kind of like in the veg category, throw it in the comments. I want to hear your recommendations. I'll let you know what the right answer is here in about 5 minutes, okay? So just throw it in the comments. Let us know here. Victoria says, Jennifer, I love your story and conviction to find your passion. So many of us stayed or are still in unfulfilling positions for too. Victoria, you just started the new job. You can't already be in unfulfilling positions for too long. Victoria, you just started. Just kidding.
Her old position, I bet.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, she's just, no, Victoria's awesome. Yeah, how do you make that decision? So like, you know what? I'm out. I mean, Victoria's right. Many people stay in they don't like for years.
I think I've been around a lot of people that are always miserable, and I want to be happy. And I can't say it's a snap decision or an easy decision, but once I've decided, it's on.
Do you like worry about like, okay, Jack's perfect question. Jack Jampel, did you become somewhat more conservative in your job changes as you got older?
Probably, but maybe not just because I was older. I think I have gotten better at choosing my new career as I've gone along. I've gotten a good idea of what I like from a company, what I like from an employer, what I am willing to do for work, and I've gotten better at the direction and making better choices. It's not just chasing the buck anymore.
Right. It's not just like, hey, listen, Wes, if I'm not cooking here by the end of the week, I'm gone. Oh. All right. So actually, as promised, I told you the right answer to the question of what would Jen serve with crab cakes is. And actually, the winners today, we have 2 winners. It's Jennifer Rodriguez and Jack Jampel. Both said asparagus. Janet, I told you asparagus. Did I not tell you asparagus, Janet? Yes, I did. Just give me the thumbs up. Yeah, 100%. 100%. No brainer. What I told Janet actually is grill the asparagus or broil it, and then kind of almost create like a thatched or like some sort of a, and then put the crab cakes on top with some lemon wedges. And then I told her do a roasted red pepper, like kind of aioli or kind of sauce, puree that up with a fat in there. Yeah, for sure. Oh, and look at Eric Scorzelli, a nice coleslaw. Maybe bump it up with apples or raisins. See, Eric, we were talking about a jicama slaw.
Yes.
See? That's good stuff. Yeah, very good stuff. Look at this. Add some lemon. Thank you. You're right. Exactly. 100%. 100%. See, this is what we're going to do. Every Friday, we're going to crowdsource what Janice should make over the no asparagus. So wrong for crab cakes. Eric, you're kidding me, buddy. You're kidding me. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, that's the last box I buy from Victory. Just kidding, absolutely kidding. No, but so going back to your journey here, because we haven't actually got to where you are now, right? So
Not yet.
how'd you get in the moving business?
So that was also interesting. I think the first time I said this to Wes, he looked genuinely sad. I hate moving.
He looked genuinely sad. He's only got his name on like 50 trucks somewhere. Like
50? Yeah. You mean 125? 130?
125, yeah, 125 paint jobs, and now he's got to go fix because you don't like moving.
I hate moving.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Well, I think the best moving salespeople are people that hate moving, because we can describe how terrible it is to people so that they pay to have it done and they don't try to do it themselves.
Yeah. I had moved 19 times in 17 years.
Wow, you got me. I'm at like 14 in like 15 years. Wow. So why'd you move so many times?
I was on my own at 15.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Touche, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you hate moving, but you're a moving sales and marketing director. So tell us about that.
So kind of twofold. My husband works for the company, so obviously I was familiar with Wes and the family and everybody, and had a bit of love for them from the get-go. But when Wes and I met, I was actually still in television advertising, and I got Stewart Moving Storage on TV with me. And I think part of my sales pitch was telling him his phone wasn't going to ring for a while. Nobody knew the name. It was going to take weeks and months for results, because he'd never done this sort of campaign before. And it was, I think, Labor Day weekend, and they got a lead that very first weekend that turned into like a $3,000 move or something.
Nice.
Yeah, fabulous. It was HGTV. It was things like that. It was kind of foolproof campaign. It was going to work, but I was also getting burned out at the same time, and he was looking to grow the COD line here at Stewart Moving and Storage. And I think we were belly up to a bar over a holiday party, if I remember correctly, and we were just talking marketing. And he found out I was interested in leaving where I was. I was burned out, and yeah, kind of magic from there.
Wes says Jen is naturally professional. It's her default. Public relations like the back of her hand. People live her confidence, which is actually way more interesting than love her confidence. You've inspired millions. No, but so tell us about what you've learned, like in the process. Again, we still have another 30 minutes here. So tell us about what you've learned in the process of being a sales and marketing executive at a moving business that you did not know really, I'm sure, much about the moving. Well, no, but your husband works.
Yeah, but I didn't know much about it. I really
didn't. You're like my wife. I come home from work, it's like,
how's your day? Good. Okay, here's dinner.
Yeah, God forbid I don't say good. The next words out of her mouth are really, come on, enough. Like, nobody cares about what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me was going from huge, giant media conglomerate, multi-billion-dollar, some of the world's largest companies, to a family-owned and operated organization that, God, I mean, let's call it how it is. The moving business doesn't have huge margins. So those were kind of polar opposites, and it took a little bit, but I felt like I was stretching for the first time in a long time, and I could almost immediately see the impact of what I was doing. So it was a lot to learn, but I like to learn. It's fun.
What were those things that you were doing right off the bat that were like kind of the low-hanging fruit plays, if you will?
I think one of the first was just my network. I've been in Richmond now for 10 years. I've got a lot of connections. I always know a guy or a gal, pretty much whatever it is that's needed. So I kind of put it out there in my network. This is where I am. This is what I'm doing. These guys are the best. Obviously, they've moved me twice, and I'm now working for the company, so they've got to be. And it was almost immediate. I don't even think I'd started, and I was already bringing in referrals. So that word of mouth and just that grassroots, getting the Stewart brand associated with my brand, was a pretty immediate impact.
So Wes actually brings up a great point here. That there wasn't a lot of a budget really to work with, or I guess early on or whatever, maybe still, I don't know. But I mean, a lot of moving companies in that boat, right? We're like,
Yeah.
we want to be on TV. We want the phone to be ringing off the hook, but we don't really know. And the cost of customer acquisition is so high that it's kind of like freaks you out a little bit, frankly.
Yeah.
You start getting in that Google AdWords game or whatever, or thinking about running TV ads. So what are like 3 things that like moving companies or even just any kind of small mom and pop, in the relocation business can do with a very small to no budget?
First of all, get active in your communities. I mean, a chamber membership will cost you $300 to $500, maybe $600 a year. Go to as many events as you can and talk to as many people as possible. I'd say that's first. Obviously, realtors, anybody in the mortgage, builder industries, those are all obviously right in line. They know when people are moving. So make friends with as many of them as you can. A cup of coffee is pretty low budget. Take them out. Tell them why you're awesome and that you'll take great care of their people. And then your network. Everybody knows people. Everybody knows people, more people than they realize they know. Just don't be ashamed or embarrassed to talk and just hype your business. It kind of does go back to putting yourself on a pedestal, but you can do it humbly and in a way that'll attract people. But those are probably the top 3 lowest cost ways to start getting your phone to ring.
And I think in order to be that brand ambassador for your company too, you have to really believe in what you're talking about, right? I mean, when you're talking to your friends and you're gushing about the company, I mean, you got to believe it. They're going to know pretty quickly, if you don't. Wes actually says, tell them about the long game.
We can't give them all of our secrets, Wes.
There's no
But it does go back to building those partnerships, building those relationships. And you kind of do have to take a leap of faith that you're going in the right direction. And when I started back with Stewart, we started building those partnerships, and we believed that in the years to come, it would start paying off. And now when I pull our lead source reports and look at all of where our orders are coming from, our business is coming from, it is those relationships that we've spent the last 5, 6, 7 years building.
Nice. Let's see. Mark Gray has a question. How has COVID-19 changed your approach to advertising, marketing, Stewart services? It's a great question, Mark.
Yeah, it really is. And COVID hit. This was our 20th anniversary this year, and COVID killed all of our plans. We had 20 and 2020 celebrations planned all year long, and it really did cancel everything that we had envisioned. A lot of my networking organizations that I'm involved with have transferred to virtual. So I've been doing tons of Zoom, lots of networking with a mask on, just lots of phone call. I think from a marketing advertising strategy, we have tightened up our SEO, really getting targeted with the work that we're doing with backlinks and our content on our site, and lots more email marketing this year, which a lot of companies have done. Email traffic, commerce traffic is up this year, and it's a little bit harder to get conversions, but it's a way to stay in touch that isn't physically touching.
What are those email marketing like I get emails. I got 35,000 unread emails in my work mailbox. I'm not a zero inbox person. Yeah. If it's garbage, I just don't even look at it. I just keep scrolling. I don't do anything with it. I just leave it there. But my question though is, in a world where we get so much email, how do you write email that stands out? Like, how do you write email that doesn't suck, that gets people to actually click and follow that, or do whatever you want it to do? Maybe I should even ask you, what's your real objective with email marketing?
Depends on my audience. Our audience is carefully curated, and that's step one. If you're just mass emailing for quantity and for numbers, then you're gonna end up sitting in Ben's email box and be one of his unopened emails. But our lists are carefully curated with people that we do business with realtors and folks that we've met out in the real world and have asked to stay in touch with us. So these are real partnerships. These are not just numbers.
Are these like newsletters or like customer?
Yeah, some of them are
reviews, or like what do you find is the most engaging kind of copy?
So yeah, All right, so my inner dork's going to come out a little bit here, so bear with me.
Please. Love it.
I use a resource called answerthepublic.com, and what it does is it tells us where the volume and search terms are. So you can put in something super simple like moving company, and it'll give you all the search queries that are around that. It'll be the when, the where, the why, the how, and the searches that surround that, whatever term you've put in. And then I find just the concentration of the most common questions related to our industry. And that's where I get the ideas for my content.
Oh, I like it. That's good. See, that is an actionable little nugget right there. Let's see here. We got some other great questions here. Please ask your questions. Throw them in there. I see Scott Williamson just checked in. Throw that in there. I want to hear all of your questions. Wes, now's an opportunity for you to ask Jen anything you want, in case you ever wanted to know. Let's see here. Janet has a question. Do you use social media, mailing, TV? You can't say all the above.
No, we don't. We don't use TV right now.
Don't use TV. All right.
But we do some targeted mailings. My sales reps that are participating in that have to hand address those and send those out. Just really, really targeted houses that go on the market. And again, when they go under contract, it's kind of magic in our industry. And social media is a way of putting your brand out there and is really effective in today's COVID times. It's a way of getting your brand out there in a really authentic, personable way. So yeah, we use lots of social media.
I love that idea of the mailing. So we did this in my office too, where we would go on like Zillow or Realtor or whatever, and look at the houses that are under contract and, that are over, $400,000 or whatever, the big houses, write little cards, handwritten cards with a business card in it, drop those in the mailbox every, once a week, whatever. And, it's so funny. It was the hardest thing to get people to actually stick with.
But it works. Yeah.
I mean, you're going to write, let's say you write 100 cards over, 4 weeks or whatever. You're probably going to book I'm going to say you're going to book 3 to 5 big moves off that. So what would you think 100 postcards would convert?
I mean, it depends on if you're doing an under contract list or just on the market. And it really depends on your real estate market.
Let's say pending. You take the pending.
Okay, your pending. I would hope you get more than that. I'd hope you get close to 10%.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely hoped. I think the problem we would find a lot of times to kind of geek out here on postcards, but no, I think what we would find too is sometimes people move before the house is sold. Like if you go knock on every door that's where there's a for sale sign in the front yard,
bunch of them are empty.
You look in and they're empty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Damn, somebody got here already.
Well, depending on how good your list is, it goes back to not the quantity but the quality that I mentioned a minute ago. It's making sure that you're doing those owner occupied, none of the rental, not the investment company owned. Depending on how you acquire your list, sometimes you can tell if the person still lives there or not. And you'll get better results.
So that's interesting. So you actually use a service that actually sells you like the MLS listing for that. Oh, that's nice. See, we were just going on Realtor, just looking at it,
What you don't pay for in the list or the database, you'll pay for in postcards if you do it the other way around.
Well, it's not even. I mean, it's the time to write the postcards, right? I mean, the postcards themselves and the stamps aren't that bad. Interesting. Now I'm going to flip this around. And I'm actually going to take Janet's question. I'm going to flip this around. Let's assume you had an infinite budget. Let's assume you had big dollars, okay? Infinite marketing budget, but you had to have ROI on it. You couldn't just go get a Super Bowl commercial. You actually had to be a positive ROI thing. But assume you had just infinite budget. What would be your dream marketing?
So we employ a similar inbound marketing. It would be how I would do it. And I think the investment would come from better content, more professional content. And instead of DIY that we use now, which is lovely, but it's DIY. I would have a videographer. I would have a content writer.
DIY. I'm sorry. DIY meaning you're talking about like
yeah, we make our own content, right? So we write our own blogs. We make our own graphics. We do all of that in house, and most of that is me. So I would have someone help me with that. I would have a writer, a professional writer that doesn't take as long as I do to write a blog. I would have a videographer on staff, because video right now is king. So I would love to have a photographer that can go out and take more pictures of our guys doing their work, and instead of just being limited to the capacity of me.
I love that. I think about this all the time. Like, it's so funny because, I mean, we talked about college, and this kind of brings it full circle, right? Because so many people go to college for their passions, and their passion might be photography. Their passion might be, I was an English major, right? My dad busts my chops all the time about that. What are you going to do with that? I'm like, turns out I like talk for a living, right? So I think it's so interesting, because it used to be the knock on the arts was, well, there's no application to this. Like, it's never going to make any money. And I see the arts being in such high demand now.
Yeah.
Graphic, video, photography, writing copy, whether it's short form, long form, blogs, I mean, everything is arts now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like.
I would love to have a team to be able, because I could just do so much more. I'm one person, and that limits my capacity. So my favorite marketing strategy is the one that we're doing. And it's an inbound marketing strategy. You put the content out there that your customers are looking for, and they will come to you.
Yeah.
I would just like to make more of it.
Let's see here. I agreed. Oh man. Yes, we could talk about that for. Let me see here. Janet has a question here. Does Stewart mainly focus on COD? Tell us about Stewart Moving and Storage. Please.
Yeah. So Stewart was a military mover primarily, and still is primarily, but grew up as a military mover. All of our locations are strategically located on top of some of the busiest military bases in the Southeast Mid-Atlantic. COD is a relatively new line for the company. 7 years, I think. A couple years before I came on board, they started doing more, and they saw some traction in the markets that they were operating in. And I think one of the first things we realized is that the process is really different for COD than it is for military. Military is pretty cut and dry. It is what it is. There's not as many variables, and COD is nothing but variables. So it took some development and making the department able to handle the volume that we're about to try to pump through it.
Yeah. So tell people a little bit about, when you're saying COD is full of variables, military isn't. Like, there's a lot of people actually that are watching this right now that are from like a corporate relocation standpoint.
Okay.
And so maybe they don't know anything about military moving, right? Other than maybe what we talk about on the show and the GHC and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they may not know anything about that, and they probably can't even spell COD, right? so what is kind of some of those differences, just so people can kind of understand and wrap their heads around.
Sure. And I don't do a lot with military, so I only know so much about it. But it's all full pack. It's all full service. It's you're moving these certain dates. The shipment comes from the carrier, or if it's on our SCAC, it's pretty cut and dry. It is what it is. Everything goes.
You get a move in your inbox.
Yeah.
It's a booked move. It's not like about, do you got a bid and you got to go look at it.
There's no closing dates to worry about usually.
Here's the move. You got it. Everything's getting packed. No crating is approved. I mean,
no shuttle.
Everything is basically there for you, to Jen's point.
Yeah.
Now with a COD move, which, by the way, help people understand, what are you talking about? It's
cash on delivery. It's just typical families getting to their new homes.
Residential consumer moving.
Yeah. And everything changes. They say they're going to pack everything. You show up and they didn't. Or vice versa. You think it's a full pack and they show up and there's 3 boxes left, and now your driver's pissed. But it's closing dates change. Somebody comes down with COVID and cancels the night before. Divorce move. Now the husband doesn't want anything going. It's any variable that you could possibly think of.
They say they're going to get rid of, this.
That's a good one.
The patio set's not coming, and this isn't. And I'm going to Facebook Marketplace this whole room, and then you show up there with a straight truck, and they got 18,000 pounds because they didn't get rid of the 6,000 pounds they said they were going to get rid of, and now all of a sudden, ops is calling you like you're like a bad person.
Jen, what do you do? What is your so and so? Yeah. Or the best one, they didn't tell you about the mini storage, and now all that stuff from their storage units in their garage.
Yeah, we should just call this show "All the Ways Customers Lie to Us."
Yes.
Oh,
yes. They don't mean to. They really don't. They're stressed. They forgot. They
good
don't think it's a big deal.
You think
We've got a
really
truck.
good people? You think you think they're not lying to us on purpose here? I don't know.
I choose to believe they're not.
Well, I don't know. We got a driver over here that I think probably would disagree, right? He says, "LOL, COD equals cash opens doors." That's funny. Steve, give us a driver point of view out there. What are some of the things customers do that just annoy the heck out of you on COD moves or national account moves? This is your opportunity to vent in the comments, Steve. Go crazy. Oh, this is great. Eric Scorzelli says, in the COD market, how much post-move marketing are you doing with your clients? Do you also follow up with prospective moves that you lost?
Yeah, I think this is someplace we could do better. Just to be transparent, we follow up probably more with our referral partners and keep contact with them than we do past customers. We do have a post-move follow-up that pretty much stops a week after the move. And I can't think of a circumstance where we've contacted a past customer past that mark.
Yeah, and that's probably just like, hey, did you like it? Yeah, leave us a review, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty much the typical, right?
It is. And yes, we do follow up with the prospective moves that we've lost. We want to know why. As an independent mover, we're really sensitive to making sure that we're pricing in line. We don't want to be the cheapest, but we don't want to price ourselves out of the market. And keeping our finger on why we've lost moves keeps us in touch with even brand perceptions and again, just making sure that our pricing's in line.
Look at the customers are already lying about lying. Look at that. Vinny says we do not lie. The customer's always right. The customer's right for somebody else. That's what the customer's right for. The customer go right to hell. How about that? I love you, Vinny. I'm just kidding. Not you, buddy. The rest of them know. I tell you what. Well, no, and honestly, we don't really. I mean, salespeople don't really care if the customer's lie or not. We're just trying to book the move and provide a service. It's when our dispatcher calls us yelling at us because we wrote down what they told us.
Yeah.
And now they think that we're lying. Honestly, like they think the salesperson like fudged the weight or something to try to earn the business when in fact we're just
doing what the customer said. Yeah,
exactly.
But you guys, we got to be lie detectors, though. We got to be able to smell that. We got to be able to look at grandma and say that she's not going to pack that 4,000 square foot house, and you need to plan on a partial
grandma,
pack.
You're full of it, grandma. Stop lying to people, grandma. You're not packing all this yourself.
I mean, maybe you don't call them out, but you make sure that your customer service department has a couple extra touch points before move day and just checks on her.
Yeah, like hooks her up to a polygraph 48 hours before the truck showing up. All right, Grandma, let's do the third video survey this week, Grandma. All right, let's see here. We got some great stuff coming in here. Jack Jampel. What's up, Jack? This is actually about corporate moves. This is interesting. Jack says, have you found that regional and ERC conferences are of significant value to growing your business?
Maybe you can take that one. I haven't attended any of those.
So Jack, Stewart Moving Storage, historically military, big in COD now, regionally in those markets that they're in. I don't think they do a lot of corporate moves. I could
Not
be
a lot,
wrong,
no.
But I will tell you, as a mover who does focus on corporate, doesn't do a lot of military, but focuses on corporate, and does a fair amount of COD. Yes. To answer your question, regional and ERC conferences have been huge for my career. They've been huge for our business. They have been in every company I've worked at. It's a great opportunity to meet corporate folks like Jack and Vinny, but also really a great opportunity to meet RMCs, which is really really where I get business from. So yeah, I think it's tremendously important from that standpoint. Let's see here. What other questions do we have? Jan Turner says, is there a program Jen loves for graphics?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Canva.com. Canva.com. It's free, mostly.
Yeah. What do you like about it? What's better about that than, like, say, Photoshop or something like that?
Well, first of all, it's free.
Mm-hmm.
Did I mention free? But I can also go into it with very little of an idea of what I want to create. I could literally just have a picture that I snapped from a job a week ago that I want to use, and it gives you templates and fonts and layouts, and it makes it foolproof. It makes you look like a designer when you're not.
Because they have so many great templates. Yeah, the templates really are fantastic. So I wanted to just give you an opportunity. I've been asking a ton of questions, Jen, but I want to give you kind of an opportunity to kind of, we got about 10 minutes left here. I want to give you an opportunity to just kind of take this conversation where you wanted to take it and kind of tell your story and express your thoughts. So what do you think that maybe we should be thinking about or talking about that we're not really thinking about and talking about right now?
I mean, going back to the non-traditional career path, I can't help but think how it could positively affect our industry. A lot of the conferences, we always lament about how the young people aren't getting into our industry, and our drivers are getting old, and they're not trying to lift couches anymore. But I was thinking the other day, and I was trying to get prepared for this and have a couple things to talk about. But I was thinking about some other non-traditional career paths, some other trades, so to speak, and they all have like apprenticeships, and they have almost like an onboarding program to get into their industry, and it grows with prestige as you go through it. And I can't help but notice that even like doctors have residencies, and lawyers have junior partners before they make partner, and then there's the apprenticeships when you're in welding and electrical and plumbing, and then in the moving industry, you're a helper or a driver.
Well,
And I can't help but think that maybe if a program like an apprenticeship would actually be a good feeder program for our industry and get us better qualified help, get us better drivers, and help in our recruiting measures as an industry.
So how would that work? Let's ideate around this a little bit. And while you think of that, one thing I was really impressed with when I first toured Stewart Moving Storage out there in Midlothian was this 5, 6, might have been 6 years ago, was that there was actually like a stated career path.
Yeah.
Like where there was like a formalized career path. I had never seen a formalized career path in a moving company where it kind of like showed you what you had to do to attain each kind of rung of the ladder, if you will. Yeah. And I was just blown away. But I actually remember asking Wes if I could take a picture of that, and he said no. I remember that, but I was so impressed with it, honestly.
Yeah.
So how would it work?
Yeah, I think obviously the helpers, guys that need a paycheck, that may not have a ton of skills, that may not have a ton of options, are kind of a good entry point for our industry, and I don't foresee that changing. But kind of like Wes has created here at Stewart Moving and Storage is a bit of an accelerated program. You do these things, you learn these skills, your quality scores, your claims are low, and you can start achieving these next levels and make more as a helper. And obviously getting CDL of some sort is incredibly helpful, but being able to drive the truck and teaching them how to be an owner operator and holding their hand through that process, giving them the support that they need to venture on to the next step of the career. I think if this became a little bit more widespread in our industry, we wouldn't have quite the trouble recruiting that we do now.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a tremendous point. I think you're right. I think part of the reason too that we have such a problem in the moving industry is, at least with the traditional companies, and let's not confuse the matter either, because there's a lot of companies that have come up in the last 10 years that are just crushing it, growing like crazy because they have a different model. And I think part of the issue is the contractor model creates a little bit of an arm's length relationship where it's hard to career path, to train, to kind of institute a company culture, that things like that build talent cultures and talent, career paths, if you will, are hard to do in a contractor model, in my opinion. I'm not sure, if you found that or not, or what your thoughts are on that, if you have any.
We do also have the contractor model for the most part. Most of our drivers are owner operators, but we do always make it all about the driver. We don't let them feel like they're a separate entity. They are our Stewart family. They are a part of our family, and just because they own their own truck doesn't make them less family. If anything, it makes them more invested in the service that we provide, and we make sure they're aware of that, and that we're always advocating for them, especially when our COD customers aren't telling us everything we need to know. But yeah, it's great lines of communication and making sure that they are recognized and rewarded and appreciated.
Yeah. Rory says some of the older moving companies used to have that. You would get tested every 6 months. Rory, you're talking about a drug screen. Rory. Okay. All right. And it's every 6 months is usually with cause, Rory. So you might want to
tighten up, Rory.
Tighten up, Rory. I'm just messing with you, Rory. Hey, congrats on the new gig, Rory. I hope it's going well for you, buddy. He says the problem is the pay. It has stayed at $15 an hour for 20 years. That's insane.
But see, that's what, the hourly guy? That's not the contractor. The contractor, the owner operator, is not making $15, $20 an hour. And ideally, most folks wouldn't stay at that level for very long anyway.
Yeah. So Steve Miser says you can keep your hamburgers, hot dogs, turkeys, and your sweatshirts. He said, pay me on time and pay me right according to the ICO independent contractor agreement.
Yeah.
We both agree to. Steve likes his ICOA. He's like, man, I don't want your hot dogs and hamburgers, man. I'll get my own, man. Just pay me good.
Yes.
Hey, Steve. I hear you, buddy. Rory says, no, class is silly. You're silly, Rory. Anyway, just kidding. So okay, interesting. So that's interesting. So what about how do we recruit? So that's kind of like the drivers and the helpers and everything. How do we recruit the administrative staff? How do we recruit salespeople, for instance?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. I guess we've built, as Stewart, we've built enough of a brand where we get people coming to us a lot. We get applications when we put those job postings out. Obviously, not all of them are qualified, but we run a good program. And once they apply and we get to have a conversation, if it's a fit, it usually works out. But it does, like a couple of the guys mentioned, it does go back to pay. But I think that's across a lot of industries right now. Unless you are a revenue driving position, pay has been stagnant for a while. I don't think that's to our industries to blame for that. If anything, it's bigger than that, and I'm not sure we can address that in the 3.5 minutes we have left.
Nice. That's that PR response right there. That's what that is. That's good. You'll sidestep that one. So you're not gonna address stagnant wages.
I unfortunately can't, because our clients, our customers also have had stagnant wages, and they can't pay more than they're paying for the services that we're providing. So it's a chicken or the egg.
I like it. No, that's a great point. So, we have just a couple minutes, and I want to just kind of allow you to kind of leave us with a final thought, a final word. What's something that you think the audience ought to know?
I think that we can't be afraid to chase our passions. And I've been so blessed that Wes has given me, Stewart Moving Storage has given me the flexibility that you mentioned earlier. How long have you been there now? He's given me the flexibility. If I feel like if I can positively impact something, he gives me pretty much free reign to do that. And I think that our organizations should be and would be open to it if presented properly. And I can give you some PR tips and techniques if you need to sell them on an idea. But I think that we should be passionate about what we do. And if we're not, we need to find a way to become passionate about our roles, or find one that we can be passionate about. We all do better work that way. Amen.
I agree. Hey, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Let's get your name back up here. There it is. Jen Zeile, Director of Marketing and Business Development at Stewart Moving and Storage. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. Thank you for all the people that left comments and questions. Appreciate y'all having some fun with us today. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Jen. Take care, everybody. We will see you next week. It's a short week. We got Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off, but we will have a show Monday and Tuesday, 4 o'clock Eastern. Appreciate it. Take care, everybody.